Welcome to the Voices That Propel Us, stories of justice, action, and community, a space where justice meets action and community voices rise. Each episode, we bring you stories from the front lines, changemakers, disruptors, and everyday heroes who are building a more just, equitable, and liberated world. This is more than a podcast. It's a call to listen, learn, and move together. You were just listening to music from the incredibly talented Stephen Kong. You can find him on Spotify and Bandcamp. Today we have with us Trevor Welch. Trevor is a passionate Bay Area community advocate rooted in his hometown of Richmond and deeply connected to Oakland and the greater San Francisco area. After earning his MS in Leadership and Management from the University of La Verne, Trevor committed himself to using his skills, knowledge, and mindset to rebuild his community and empower those who lack access to opportunities. Trevor's journey has been shaped by teaching, volunteering, grassroots activism, and even local farm work, efforts that reflect his dedication to uplifting others and making a tangible impact. He strives to be an elevating and positive force within the Bay Area, consistently finding ways to plug himself into initiatives that foster growth and prosperity. His evolving life purpose is not only to serve, but to inspire and equip others to discover and act on their own purpose, helping them develop the tools, attitudes, and plans to transform their lives and communities. Well, hi, Trevor. I'm really excited and happy that you're here. I had a really good time talking with you when we worked together. And I'm just excited to hear about what's been going on for you and just like what gave you that dedication and commitment to community service. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Denise. Thank you so much for having me on. It's a great honor to be on your podcast. And I'm really happy that, we just kind of stayed connected over the years.
Yeah.
I'm excited to do this.
Yeah, no, thank you, Trevor. I'm really honored to have you here too. So, I just love to hear more about your background and what helped to shape you. So can you share a moment or experience from your early life in Richmond or Oakland that shaped your understanding of community?
Most definitely. To begin, I would just say that Richmond itself already has such a beautiful community. So I was, in a way, spoiled to have grown up in Richmond, California, and be able to experience such a rich and diverse community where you're stepping outside and there's something happening for anything and anyone, between Juneteenth parades and Cinco de Mayo festivals and scholastic book fairs and all that. There was just always something happening where you could be a part of the community and you're meeting folks and you're safe, I remember being in elementary school. Every year for Halloween, our classes would walk around Point Richmond and go to all the local businesses and get candy from them.
Oh, that's cool.
And that's really, I think that alone is just a complete statement to the community of Richmond, that every year and then it's like every single class from kindergarten to sixth grade is walking around Point Richmond, going door to door, getting candy from our local businesses. And the business owners were happy to do it. They're smiling at their front door, putting candies in hundreds of kids' bags, And I think that's probably my earliest memory of what that community meant to me and why I have such a strong sense of community. Then I kind of go into middle school and high school, where I was a part of this education program called Making Waves. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
Yeah. I've heard of it. Yeah. Can you say more about that? I'm a little familiar. I'm not too familiar with everything about it though.
So Making Waves was an education program built around providing youth in Richmond, El Cerrito, El Sobrante, really that general area, the opportunity to a better education. So a lot of us in those cohorts came from low-income families where we may have been promising youths, but because of our resources, because of where we are, we didn't really have the best opportunities. And it was they took it upon themselves, and it was their mission to kind of provide more for us and to help us get into better schools, like middle schools and high schools, and
Mm-hmm.
prepare us for college. Their goal was to send as many of us to college as possible. So while there, they were very big on instilling a sense of community, not just
Okay.
amongst ourselves, but amongst our greater community. Uh, they would have us doing community service maybe 2 to 3 times a month, where we're
Mm-hmm.
going to soup kitchens or we're going to cleanups, or they just have us doing work around our general neighborhood where we're just outside as a group giving back, you know.
Yeah.
And I always and I remember, growing up, it'd be like a Saturday morning. I'm 10. I don't want to be
Oh.
doing this. Like, I want to play video games and eat cereal or whatever, but I'm
Yeah.
outside, it's cold, and I'm picking up trash. And in that moment, I'm not fully understanding, but as I've grown, I look back on that. I'm so thankful that I had those opportunities because it's still instilled in me today. And I still have that strong sense of community injustice where I'm walking down the street and I see some trash, I pick it up and throw it away because I
Mm-hmm.
want my city, I want my community to be beautiful. I look for opportunities for where I can insert myself and be of help to others in my community. And I can make sure that the gifts I have and the opportunities I have can trickle down onto the next generation and onto
Yeah.
those that may not have the same resources as me, and they can still, benefit from it. So between just the city of Richmond itself and being a part of that program, I think that I was kind of destined almost to
Mm-hmm.
have this value of community instilled in me, whether I wanted it or not, I was going to be
Yeah.
a community member. So I think that's really where a lot of that mentality and a lot of that value comes from. Definitely being a part of such a rich and purposeful city, and being a part of such an intentional education program growing up.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing. That's such a beautiful foundation that you had for community service. So, what was it that helped like spark that connection between like service and like community advocacy? Because I think for me in my own journey too, I realized that like nonprofits and like serving people in that kind of way wasn't just like putting a band-aid on things, but it's actually like helping to create community change. So yeah, was there that moment when you realized that like even like picking up the trash or doing those community service activities had a connection to like larger social justice issues?
Hmm. I'm not sure there was any certain point where that
Okay.
connection kind of came about.
Uh-huh.
I think for me, it's really paying it forward. I
Right.
recognize what others have done for me to get me to where I am today. I recognize that I wasn't born with the most resources or the most money or anything like that, but
Mhm.
it's because of my community. That
Right.
saying, it takes a village kind of thing.
Yeah.
Uh 100%. It's because of my community, my village, that I get to be the Trevor before you today. So
Yeah.
I really want to make sure that I am always paying it forward, and I'm always uh, giving back to that community that helped create me so that I can help create others and I can help
Mhm.
give the opportunities to others that I got as well.
Yeah, no, thank you,
So I
Trevor,
think
for
that
saying that.
that's just always kind of been in my mind.
Yeah.
There wasn't like a certain point or a certain piece of trash I
Yeah.
picked up, and I was like, I get it now. I understand.
You get it. It's like a literal light bulb just goes off.
Yeah,
I love
exactly.
that. No, thank you for saying that though. But yeah, like I was saying to you before, like that's what I'm hoping with this to share with this podcast that social change comes in like smallest acts. So yeah, you're making a difference even if you're picking up that piece of trash that you see on the ground. Yeah,
Mhm.
I think no act is like too small or like meaningless or anything.
100% agree with you, because it all adds up. It takes
Yeah,
100 pennies to make a dollar.
totally.
So just because one act or one service, you don't see the immediate result, that doesn't mean it didn't go towards anything. I like to
Mhm.
think of a lot of my service as investments. I'm
Mm.
not going to see the change today. I'm not going to see the results of the
Yeah.
effort I put into this today. This is for down the line. This is for the next generation. This is for 5 years from now. I get to come back to
Yeah.
what I did and see the fruits of my labor and see the fruits that are being bestowed upon the community, you know?
Yeah.
So, and again, I'm never doing anything for instant gratification either. Like,
Yeah.
this is for the better good of everyone, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah,
No, that's
never
beautiful.
in the mindset that like this is, oh, I'm doing this because this has happened right now. I need these
Yeah.
results now. No, this is for the long run, you
No,
know?
that's cool. No, you what you said right now it kind of remind me of just a quick story that I had about my daughter. So, when she was little too, I've always been thinking like wanting to instill that sense of like community service and even activism in her. But I feel like it's just coming out on her own. So, she shared with me, I think a couple weeks ago, she actually wrote a petition to like have better school lunch food or like
Uh-huh.
better school food and she when she gets enough signatures, I think she doesn't have a number in mind, but she's like, as soon as I like fill up this page with signatures, I'm going to give it to the principal. And she's in fifth grade, so this is her last year in elementary school. But she said, I want to make sure that the kids after me like have better school
Mm.
meals. I'm like, oh, that's really cool, Mika. That's yeah. I'm like, I'm so proud of her because I
No,
didn't
that's
even think about like
amazing.
talking about activism or anything. But she was like, yeah, I want to leave it better. Like in her words, like saying like I want to leave it better for the next generation. I was like,
Mhm.
oh.
Oh, oh my God. In fifth grade, already thinking about that is amazing, honestly.
Yeah.
No, that's a beautiful soul right there. And I think that also really speaks on her ability to empathize. You
Yeah.
know, she recognizes I did not like eating this. I did not
Yeah.
enjoy these meals, and no one else needs to suffer because of this. So she's
Like
making the
she said
change.
she said the grapes make her mouth itchy. I'm like, oh. She's
Oh,
like, I don't want people to suffer like that.
yeah. So she's empathizing with those future
Right.
generations of kids that are gonna go through that and have itchy mouths. And she's like, no, it stops with me. It stops today.
But I'm hoping that she has that same spirit of activism too, because even with myself, I had that seed of activism planted really early because my grandparents were in the Japanese American internment camps during World War II, and just hearing those stories and everything. So I don't know, maybe she just picks up on it because this is just who I am. Like I never sat down with her and be like, "Hey, Mika, this is activism and this is the history of injustice." But yeah, it just came up because she just wants to have like equity for folks and everything.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's beautiful. That's
No,
beautiful.
cool. So yeah, I'd love to talk with you more about your work. So you've been involved with teaching, volunteering, activism, and even farm work. So how did each of these experiences shape your approach to leadership and purpose?
I think the one that really shaped my approach to leadership and purpose
Mhm.
was when I was working at BACR as
Okay.
initially it was an after school
Hmm.
supervisor for this elementary school in East Oakland, Brookfield Elementary, which quickly turned into me being a teacher's aide, which honestly I was just a full-time teacher at that point. It was during COVID, so we're in the bubble.
Yeah.
I have pods of students that are maybe 18 to 20 kids in a room, trying our best to keep them all separated, 6 feet apart, mask on, all that. Um, and it became very evident to me just how important it was that I was intentional with the curriculum I gave them and
Yeah.
my time with them in that room, because they were children. They didn't understand fully what was going on in the world at the time. Why is everything shut down? Why can't I go to school? Why can't I see my friends? These are kind of things that are going on in their heads. It's kind of really hard to explain to them that there's a worldwide
Yeah.
disease going on right now and people are dying and
Yeah.
the government is this and were shut down over here, and they're not going to fully grasp all of that. So I'm trying to build uh, as much normalcy as possible for them
Wow,
during
that's
this
beautiful.
time. Um, And I had to really, because I went in there kind of just transitioning from my time with AmeriCorps and just trying to get back into a working position
Yeah.
as I was finishing my grad school. But I quickly realized again that this isn't something I can do without intention. This isn't something I can do without purpose. Because if I do that, I'm going to end up causing more harm to these children than anything
Right.
else. So I had to really step back and ask myself, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
Why am I here? Yes, you're here to get paid, but like what's more I can get out of this experience for myself and for these children?
Right.
And it was then that I realized that I am not only an educator, but also a role model. And I had to walk with a certain purpose every time I'm in this room. And I can't just show up because a
Yeah.
lot of the adults in our life were just showing up, and it was showing when they would come to class
Hmm.
and they didn't have their materials, or they didn't have certain things, or they didn't know how to do certain things, and are already in the third grade. And I'm like, oh, you can't do this yet? Like, that's kind of insane, you know? So I
Yeah.
had to really step up and play a lot of different roles for them, and be a leader to these kids. They were looking for
Yeah.
guidance. They were looking for someone to show them the way of life, you know, and they did, and a lot of them did not have that at home. So I think that role in itself really honed in on what purpose meant for me. And it's funny actually because in my master's program, my capstone paper was on what is purpose and how to instill
Wow.
that in yourself and others.
That's
So
beautiful.
that what was it? That experience really helped me as I was writing that paper, and it really helped me kind of channel what purpose meant for me, and what my purpose in my community, and not just with those children, but at home with my
Mhm.
friends, with my mentors. Like every room I walk into, why am I here? What am I
Yeah.
doing here? You know,
Yeah.
really building in on that intention.
Yeah. No, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. And with that, were you able to like help other people like discover their purpose as well as you were like discovering your own purpose?
I would like to say that I do that. I kind of do that day to day. Like with
That's
my
cool.
every room I walk into with my friends, my family, whoever it
Hmm.
is, when I hear people talk about their dreams, their ambitions, their hardships, anything like that, I'm always doing it with a mindset of like, what's the purpose?
Uh-huh.
Why are you going through this? Why do you want to do this kind of thing? And how can it get done?
Yeah.
So when I'm talking to my friends, I'm always trying to instill that sense of drive and intention as they navigate the world and as they are trying to better themselves and grow and learn. So while maybe I've never had like a workshop or anything, or like sat down and talked to people
Right.
like, here's what purpose is. I
Yeah.
really do try to instill that in folks as much as possible, because that's kind of how I live. And I really want everyone in my circle and everyone in my community to be that way. And, you know, it's actually kind of funny as we talked about community and now we're talking about purpose. Uh,
Hmm.
do you know what Richmond is called?
No, actually, I
It's
don't know.
called the City of Pride and Purpose.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow. How
And
fitting for you. That's
right.
awesome.
And there's a sign in Richmond that I used to pass by all the time growing up, but I never
Uh-huh.
read. But it was few years, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I just moved back to Richmond from La Verne. I was still in my grad school, and I'm going through this whole finding my purpose kind of thing. And I read that sign, and I was
Wow.
like, that is so powerful.
Yeah.
The city of pride and purpose.
I love that.
And it's when I read that sign, I realized that I really wanted to make sure that we lived up to that,
Yeah.
and that my community, my city, held true to being the city of pride and purpose. And I want to make sure that I instilled that in us. I gave the city something that you can be prideful of. And I
Yeah.
was giving the city something that we had purpose. Well, there's a reason why we're here. There's a reason why, we are doing so well. And I'm, again, just to kind of, I don't know, fall back on to what I was saying
Yeah.
earlier. I am very prideful and very proud
Yeah.
of the city of Richmond. Growing up, it was not the best. to see how it has evolved and grown and
Yeah.
developed is amazing. It's really amazing.
Yeah.
So I try to make sure that as a citizen of it, as someone who came from it, when I'm going in these different rooms and I'm going to these different cities, I'm representing Richmond right. And I'm
Yeah.
showing them that people from Richmond are so much more, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's beautiful. And I love that too, just like dismantling those stereotypes or
Mhm.
yeah, just like showing that things are different than, like yeah, it's really beautiful work that you're doing. So I really love this quote that you open your bio with. So your bio opens with the quote, "The mystery of human existence lies not in just staying alive, but in finding something to live for." So, I'd love to hear from you. What does something to live for mean to you at this stage of your life?
At this stage of my life,
Uh-huh.
that's honestly such a great question because that's this whole year I've been kind of
Hmm.
wrapping my head around what that is really. Why am I working so hard?
Yeah.
What am I aiming towards? Of course, it's a better life. I want to have security and comfort and
Yeah.
all that, but is that truly enough? You know,
Mm.
I think at this stage, uh, not only am I wanting to build that comfort and security for myself, I actually really, really want that for my close friends and family as well.
Okay.
It breaks my heart when I hear people, especially good folks, that they would give their shirt to somebody if they
Hmm.
needed it. They have $20 in their bank account and someone's hungry and they're going to feed that person knowing they need that
Yeah.
money kind of thing. When I hear those kind of individuals are going through hardship and I hear that those kind of people are missing opportunities or something didn't work right for them because of X, Y, and Z, I realized that a big reason why I work so hard and the big reason why I am here today right now is because I want to be that bridge gap. I want to
Mm.
be the bridge to gap that for folks so they don't have to miss out on things. So they don't have to feel like they don't have enough.
Mm.
If you're doing everything you're supposed to be doing, if you're this kind of person that is giving, is caring, is family and community driven, and you're really just out here trying your best, but
Yeah.
just life happens and things kind of fall array, I want to be there to support and to lift them up and to give them the chance to really develop themselves in the way that they want to and to reach their
Yeah.
goals and their ambitions. Because I fully recognize, and I think you're probably gonna hear this a lot throughout our call
Hmm.
today.
Yeah.
I would not be the person I am today if it wasn't for the folks that believed in me,
Right.
developed me, saw something more in myself, and said, you know what, I want to make sure this guy gets to where he needs to go. I
Yeah.
fully recognize that I didn't get here alone. I'm
Right.
very independent. I did a lot of stuff on my own. I developed myself in a lot of different ways, but there are certain things that, I wouldn't have got into that room. I wouldn't have
Yeah.
got into school that day had someone not seen me walking and picked me up and took me to school, like
Mhm.
little instances like that really showed that community and really showed like, no, this kid needs to get to where he needs to go because he's going to be somebody. I want to make sure that I can pay that forward
Yeah.
and see folks that are really trying and really want to do something in this world, not just for themselves, but for others, but just can't, and bridging
Yeah.
that for them and helping them kind of get there. So that's
Yeah.
that's a huge reason why I do what I do, and I kind of live a purposeful life.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for sharing that, Trevor. And yeah, actually that's a wonderful segue into the next question I had for you because in like my own like journey doing community work, I've learned that I need to like also do a lot of work in myself, like having those reflections, having an understanding so that I could have more empathy and better connect with the people that I'm serving. So with that, many people want to help their community but don't know where to start. So what kind of inner work do you think is required before stepping into service?
I believe that definitely need to have intention. So you
Right.
have to be able to sit down with yourself uh and really ask, why am I doing this? Is it coming from an altruistic point? Am I trying to leverage something? Am I trying to
Hmm.
just find some fulfillment? because there's something in my life that's missing, and I feel like this might be able to help me. Because I think giving with a pure heart is the very first step. So that you're putting out the best work and you're not expecting anything in return. Everything I just said about wanting to give back to others, I don't want anything in return for that. I don't want to be like, oh, I helped you with this, now you owe me.
Yeah.
Not at all. I want to be able to do it just out of love, just out of the fact that I had the means to do it, and so I did. And I think a lot of people need to have that same mentality, because it's kind of thankless. A lot of service work is really thankless. You're gonna do things, you're gonna go above and beyond for people, and sometimes they're not even grateful for it. Totally. You're gonna paint the sky red for them, and like, but my favorite color was green. You just the entire sky. Like, he just changed the color of the sky for them, and they're stuck on the color.
I've experienced that with people too. I'm like, oh my goodness. Okay.
That's a wild analogy. I know.
No, but I think you bring up a big point. That's happened. Yeah, that's happened to me in like those points. Cause like, I just work so hard. And you're complaining about it.
No, seriously. Or like, they're just not, you care more about it than they do.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I kind of have felt that way about some of my more recent work, where at my job, I'm overseeing this education program, and me and my team put a lot of effort into making sure that this is a great program for them. And it just kind of feels like, for some folks, they're really bought in, and they're in there, they're doing it. But for other folks, it's kind of like, they're just not fully grasping the weight of these resources and the effort that gets put into it. And, they're just not really present in the program, and that really sucks, because we care about each and every single one of them. And we're doing this work because we want to see you succeed. And we know that you getting these opportunities and hearing these speakers and being in these workshops and getting this training, it's really going to give you an edge against the competition. And in today's workforce, in today's market, you need every edge you can get. So it's kind of painful to see folks kind of blow things off and not take it as serious, when I know the world they're going to get into, when I know what it looks like once they graduate and they're trying to get that job at this top firm. And guess what? Everyone else applying has the same credentials as you. So what makes you different? What puts you above the rest, And we're trying to provide that for them, and just kind of, sometimes it falls short. It's not, it can get really, really frustrating. Yeah. So you have to answer your question, have that intention of just giving, so that you don't take all that home with you, and you don't like nurse that frustrations. Okay. But that's definitely one thing you should definitely do before you decide that, hey, I really want to get into service work, or hey, I really want to be a bigger member of my community. Just be prepared for those frustrations, and have the mental fortitude to know that these are investments. Again, you may not always see the results of your work immediately, but have faith that your efforts are going towards something better, that your efforts are going towards something more than yourself, so you're going to have that patience, have that intention, and have that just pure heart. I think when you can really center yourself around those three pillars, then a lot of service, you can do a lot of good work.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing that. I really love that. And, I'd love to talk more about like Bay Area culture. So I was in the Bay Area for like close to 2 decades, and I just love just that spirit of activism. The nonprofit sector, I think, is really thriving. So with that, Richmond, Oakland, and the Bay Area carry deep histories of resistance, creativity, and political organizing. So how do you see the legacy showing up in today's struggles and movements?
I think it is as lively as ever. I drive down the street and I see folks with signs and picketing and just protesting whatever is in their heart. And that's one of the things I love most about the Bay Area. People love to say that we care too much.
Yeah, I know. It's
It's
funny.
true.
People say it's like, why is that a bad thing, though? It's
Exactly. It's
sad that
true. We do care.
yeah,
We care a lot. We
yeah,
care that people that there's injustice. We care that
yeah,
people are being treated poorly. We care that people don't have enough of what they need. Okay. And we're going to
yeah,
be vocal about it because something needs to get done. So I absolutely love that we're not afraid of a fight. We've never been afraid to speak our mind. We've never been afraid to come together as a
yeah,
community and let our presence be known. So I see it as strong as ever. Where we're over at Oakland City Hall, San Francisco City Hall, I see
mhm,
flyers all the time, like gather today to voice this opinion, gather today to say no to this,
yeah,
gather today to fight back against this. And there's no short list.
yeah,
There's plenty of things going on in this world. Pick a cause, look into it,
mhm,
and go do it. And that's really the attitude a lot of folks have here in the Bay Area. So I think that is just a core personality trait that
yeah.
if you're born here, you have it, and if you moved here, you develop it.
Yeah.
You're forced to care.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, I love it. It's just like what you're saying, just people just have that spirit of wanting to make things different. And yeah,
Mhm.
I don't come across like maybe it's just because the circles I'm in, but I don't come across people who are like indifferent to things. So even like in the current climate, like if things are going on, they don't just complain, but they're like, yeah, how can we? It's like call
Yeah,
your
exactly.
Congress
Mhm.
members, do this and that to like try to make a difference. So they like see an issue and like be like, yeah, let's tackle this together instead of just complaining about it. I think it's really beautiful.
I have these two sayings that I actually developed while at Bayak with you.
Okay.
Um, One of them is create the change you want to see in the world and be the
Yeah.
difference you want
Yeah.
to see in the world. And I think that the Bay Area embodies that completely. You
Yeah.
know, if we want change, we start with ourselves. We can't advocate for something if we're not doing it first.
Yeah.
If we want to see a difference, we go out and we make the difference.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of communities and a lot of people kind of fall short is with being proactive.
Yeah.
They feel the pains, they know they don't like it, but instead of doing something about it, they just kind of let it happen to them.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, well, maybe if I just like buckle up and just go let it run its course.
Yeah.
I'll get through this. Here, we're already uncomfortable. I know change is uncomfortable. A lot of
Yeah.
people are scared of that. We're
Right.
like, no, we already don't like it here. We got to do something about
Yep.
it. We're
Yeah,
not going to
totally.
live every day
Totally.
like this. So I really, really love that about the Bay Area. And that's from North Bay to South Bay to the
Hmm.
peninsula to San Francisco. Everywhere we all have that common energy and mindset.
Yeah, no, I really love that. And my next question, you were talking about this a bit earlier, but I'd love to further explore it with you. So, what are some misconceptions that people have about your community, and what do outsiders often miss or fail to see?
Um, it's a little hard to call it a misconception
Hmm.
because it is true, but it's not the only thing here. Unfortunately, there is a lot of um there are a lot of issues here, especially in Oakland and San Francisco in
Hmm.
particular.
Yeah.
Whether it's violence, car break-ins, homelessness, drug abuse, they're here and they're prevalent, and
Yeah.
it's very visual. You can walk down the street and you see that.
Right.
Uh, so, I don't try to paint a fake narrative of, oh, that doesn't exist. That's just in
Yeah.
the news. Yada yada yada. No, that's real. That's my community. You got to take the good with the bad,
Yeah.
and we're actively working on fixing that. And I really wish that folks focused more on the people actively working towards
Yeah.
solving these issues and fixing these things
Right.
rather than just the issues themselves. because we
Yeah.
see it, it's real,
Hmm.
it's here, but there's a lot of us out here working towards making it better. And there's so many, as well as we, which is why I love your podcast so much.
Aw,
You're
thank you,
really
Trevor.
trying to focus on the beautiful parts of humans and
Hmm.
what we're doing, and showcasing that there are light workers out here
Yeah.
doing really good work for their communities. Um, I wish more media did that and
Yeah.
showcased the folks that are out protesting, the showcase the folks that
Yeah.
are getting people together to better the community and work on our issues, instead of just showcasing again and shoving
Yeah.
it down our throat every opportunity they have of the poor, the bad, and the
Yeah.
misfortunate. So again, kind of hard to say misconstrued, because it's here. I'm not gonna
Hmm.
sugarcoat anything, but it's not the only thing here. And there's a lot
Yeah.
of beauty here, and there's a lot of good here. And I tell folks all the time, if you're coming to the Bay Area, hit me up and I'll tell you exactly where to go, what
Okay.
to do, and show you what the real Bay looks like,
Yeah.
because I love showing off my city. I love showing off
Yeah.
my area. I'm very prideful of course, Richmond, but the greater Bay Area. Like, this is my backyard.
Yeah.
I grew up in all of this. So I want to make sure that people see it in the right light and they understand that we are a strong group of people
Yeah.
that are really trying our best out here.
Yeah, no, and thank you so much for sharing, saying that about in the podcast, and that really touches my heart. It means a lot, and I think that's why I wanted to put this out there, because I want to counter all this negativity. Like you were saying, I feel like the mainstream news focuses on the negative, and why aren't they telling more of the positive stories of people trying to, fight good for justice? And yeah, even like covering the protests, it's like, oh, this rowdy crowd, this or
Mm-hmm.
that, and these
Mm-hmm.
rioters destroyed the buildings. But it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, but that, because I've been through a lot of protests, especially living in the Bay Area. I've went to a lot of large protests, and the thing is, like, that does happen, but it's a small minority, and the majority of people are very peaceful, and they even like at protests pass around flyers of resources
Yeah.
for
No.
folks
Mm-hmm.
too. Yeah, no,
Mm-hmm.
protests are like wonderful, but I feel like it just this picture that they paint, like it just like the whole protest was full of rioters, which is not the case ever.
Not the case ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. It's tough, but again, I think you're doing a great job taking this on
Yeah.
and showcasing our voices and our
Yeah.
efforts, and showing folks again that whether they are change maker themselves or they just want to hear more about change makers, we're
Yeah.
out here and
Yeah.
we're trying to make a difference, and we're trying to create the change we want to see.
Yeah, no, I love that. Thank you for saying that. And, with that, I feel like the work can get heavy, like emotional, like even for me too. I remember, especially when I was younger, I went gung ho and like burned myself out. But it just like, I feel like doing social change work is, can be draining, like, doing it on a day-to-day basis versus like just showing up for, protest or volunteering for a day or something. So,
Mhm.
how do you maintain hope and momentum, especially when progress feels slow or setbacks happen?
I do that by honestly uh, making sure I stay rooted in my values.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really easy to kind of get caught up in the issues and chaos of society, uh,
Yeah.
especially when you're working so close with it. So, as change makers, as advocates and people in our community, we're at the front line. We're
Yeah.
working directly with the issue, and you're facing it face forward
Yeah.
every single day.
Yeah.
And to your point, you can really burn out from that. And a lot of times you can kind of lose sight of your values and what kind of got you there to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So I make sure to always have time for myself to really instill myself in those values and remind myself why I'm doing this work, and to also celebrate those big and small wins.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what's the point of cleaning up your community if you don't get to take a walk in it?
Yeah.
You know, you clean the streets, but you never get to walk around and enjoy the fresh air now. So I make sure that I spend a lot of time in my community, participating in events or gatherings and stuff. Like over at Lake Merritt, they have drum circles all the time.
Right. I love
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I also found that on Friday, every other Friday, there's this collective that throws a free party. You just show up and they're playing, they have DJs and everyone's just out having a good time. There's dance circles, and it's just a group of folks that were just at the lake that day that got together and just had a great time. And that fills me with so much joy and just so much positive energy, just to be in that space and just to see my community smiling, having fun, being carefree. That reminds me, like, yes, this is what I do it for. So we have more events and more spaces like this. This is why I want our community to be clean. This is why I want it to be safe, so that we can feel good to come outside and celebrate and have these moments, So I make sure that I am participating. I'm not just fighting and putting in work. I'm also reaping what I sow and being a part of that community I'm trying to build. So I think that definitely helps me, saves me from burnout and saves me from kind of losing track of why it is I'm doing what I'm doing and why it's so important to me.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing that. And so with that, what kind of visions do you have for like Richmond, Oakland, and the Bay Area? Like, what do you hope that it will look like, or the result of the work that that we're doing for our communities?
When I was in high school, I would have to walk from Richmond BART to where Making Waves, the education program, was. And that was maybe it wasn't like a long walk. It was like 20 minutes.
Okay.
But we're in November now and it's dark at like 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
So when I'm leaving school and I'm leaving football practice, and I'm walking from Richmond all the way down, I think if Richmond's on 16th Street, I was walking down to like 24th or 25th or something like that. So it's a couple blocks, and it's pitch black.
Yeah.
And back then it wasn't the safest, a lot of things happened to me and my friends on those walks. And it was unfortunate because there were streetlights that just didn't work.
Okay.
And they just didn't work for years. And they weren't gonna work because no one, the city wasn't gonna make any changes about it, and no one was gonna report in these areas that this was happening, because it's areas that folks usually don't really. It was the Iron Triangle. For people that are from the Bay Area and know Richmond, you know what the Iron Triangle is. For folks that are not from here, it is just a section of Richmond that is enclosed between a literal triangle of railroad tracks, which is why it's Iron Triangle. And in that section, people a lot of what happens there kind of happens, and a lot of times folks just kind of overlook it. It was unfortunate, and I remember always walking and thinking about those street lights and thinking about the stoplights that weren't working. And I remember going home one day and talking to my mom, and she goes, "Oh, Trevor, that hadn't worked since I was a kid," and that broke me.
Oh, wow!
Because I was like, "There's no way that this one light hasn't been working since my mom was in school." That was terrible. And then I think, you know what? Now that I think back on it, to your earlier point of what was that kind of trigger moment where like I want more for my community, I think it might have been that. I think I heard that and I was like, no, we deserve more. My community deserves better. To Mika's point, future generations deserve better. So I need to be an advocate for my city and make some change, Mika got it earlier than I did, but I got there at some point, right?
Yeah.
So I envision the reason why I told that story, I envision having a city where kids can walk to an after school program and be safe.
Yeah.
They can walk to an after school program and their lights are on and they can see where they're going.
Yeah.
And their parents don't have to worry about, will my child come home to me tonight? And they're just going to an after school program. I envision a city where, there is more of those community-based events and parades and celebrations where we can come together, and though we might come from different cultures, we can celebrate one another and provide an open space for one another that we are, accepting and welcoming. And I think Richmond has always done a great job of that, but I want to see more of it. I want to see a lot more of it. Especially in today's time, where there's a lot of divide amongst people and a lot of folks aren't safe. I want to make sure that Richmond is always a safe haven. We are such a diverse and unique group of people and community, and I want to make sure that we save that and we hone that for future generations, honestly.
Yeah, no, that's really beautiful. Cool. No, thank you for sharing that
when I think
too.
of the future, when I think of my community, that's definitely where I go.
Yeah, no, I love that. And we've talked about this before too, but I think like with the podcast, I want to show people that like social change can come from anybody. You don't have to have like a title or like be well known or anything, but like, everyday people where we can like play a part in making a difference too. So with that, what role do you believe everyday people, so not just organizers or activists, have in creating that future?
I believe there's several roles people can kind of play. And all of it is just being proactive. You can support the folks that are outside doing it and getting their hands dirty. And that is by supporting their programs, sharing the work they're doing, whether providing resources, providing funding so they can continue to do it. That is creating groups amongst yourselves in your own family community and taking care of your own niche circle. So like, say your block, say where you live, just making sure that one block is clean. You don't have to go past that, but just making sure that that one block is taken care of and is good. And you have like a neighborhood watch kind of thing going on where you guys take care of each other. To being advocates for injustice when you see it, not staying silent. I think there's a lot of roles that people can do, and not all of them put you are as demanding as being on the front line or as time consuming as orchestrating and coordinating gatherings and events where you can still be proactive and you can still have a voice. Because there's sometimes, I really love being on the front lines. I love getting my hands dirty, but I have a life and there's a lot of things that I personally want to see happen for me. A lot of things that I have a lot of goals and ambitions. And so I don't always have the time to be on the front lines. But just because I can't, be active and be present physically doesn't mean I can't show my support by resharing something when I see it on social media, giving some money or donating some resources to folks so that they can continue on with their work. Again, there's a lot that you can kind of do, and there's a lot of different roles, and you're just sitting down. And again, like, I think this kind of leads back to one of your earlier questions of, what's your purpose? What are you trying to get out of this? What are your intentions, kind of thing? When you're able to do that, when you're able to sit down and kind of ask yourself those questions, you're able to kind of see where you're able to fill the gaps. And you're able to see what roles you actually need to fill and can fill. So I think that's definitely a start for people.
No, I love that. And I was just loving what you were saying too, because I feel like this is the work that I'm still trying to do for myself, because I think it takes a lot of courage to like speak up, and it can be scary, like speaking up when it's right, when you're in the minority. And so what do you think can help people to gather that courage to speak up when they see something's not right?
I think a lot of times folks are scared because they might think they're the only ones that feel this way,
right.
Or they're the only ones that think like this. And I think that something that may help is knowing that you're not alone. Even when you feel alone, you're not. And it might seem that way when you first start speaking out, but the more you do it, the more people are going to also get that courage to be like, no, I agree with them. And I think things change, and they'll stand with you. And no one wants to be the first person to do it because no one wants to stand by themselves. And I can totally understand that. And that's not the role for everybody. Not everyone can do that. But knowing in your mind that if you thought something, if you felt something about a certain way about something, you're probably not the only one to feel that type of way. And that there are others that will agree with you. There's going to be people that disagree, and that's to be expected, but there's going to be a lot more that do agree with you and want to help you and support you. So not getting stuck in your head of, oh, I don't want to be the only one to speak out. I don't want to be the only one that feels this way. It's okay. Be the outlier. Be the outlier, and go out of your way to kind of create that space for others to also stand with you.
No, I love that. And I've noticed that myself too. I forgot maybe what spaces. I'll give maybe example of when I was in school or something. And same thing, it seems like, people saying a lot of the negative things that I would disagree with. But then, once that one person speaks out, then I notice a lot of other people start raising their hands too. I'm like, no, I feel that way too. But I think when it gets heated in that moment, it can feel like maybe I'm the only one who feels this way. But yeah, I think just that's what I'm trying to do for myself, to be that person, to be the voice, to have other people feel comfortable. But yeah, it takes a lot of work though. It's, not gonna lie, it does take a lot of courage. But yeah, once that door opens, a lot of people would start speaking out too. But it's that first person, it's always difficult.
Yeah. No, definitely. It's kind of when you're in an audience, all it's one person to start clapping or cheering, and then everyone is standing up and clap. And so the energy is contagious. And the energy you put out there, people feel that. So you have to be comfortable with being vulnerable and putting yourself out there. And again, not everybody has that within themselves, but if something is really strong in your heart and you really feel passionate about something, you can't be scared to speak your mind, and you can't be scared to stand on your values, because the other side's doing it, the other side is they're very loud and they're very proud of what they're feeling and what they think.
Right.
So they get to do that. You too.
I know.
Okay.
Yeah. No, but thank you so much, Trevor. I had such a wonderful time talking with you today. And thank you for your time and just sharing your own voices and your stories. And, hopefully people listening into this episode will find inspiration and courage to speak up and tell their stories too. But lastly, before we wrap up, how can people find you if they want to connect with you?
Of course. People can find me. I'm on almost all social media platforms. You can find me on LinkedIn. My name is Trevor Welch. I'm more than happy to connect with folks on there and to have more professional conversations. You can find my Instagram. It is trippy.trevs. That's the word trippy, period, TREVZZZ. More than happy to connect with you guys on there as well. Or you can reach out via email at xtrev07@gmail.com. I'm more than happy to speak with anyone or just continue having this conversation or think of ways that you can be advocates and active within your community. So feel free to reach out. And I'm glad to have been on here with you, Denise. Thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you too. And thank you so much for everything. And I hope you have a good rest of your day.
All right. You as well.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for being here and tuning in to Voices That Propel Us, stories of justice, action, and community. Your presence in this movement matters. If today's conversation moved you, share it, talk about it, and keep the work going. Together, we're not just imagining change, we're making it. Until next time, stay bold, stay grounded, and stay in the fight.
Every time I feel so mad and sad and bad, I say to myself, relax, lean back, it's a brand new day. And every time I feel so down that a frown